Hi, and welcome to Mrs. Pam Reads, where we are continuing in The Magic Circle by Katherine Neville. And in last video, we were reading or hearing the letter that John Mark's mother wrote to Mary Magdalene. Apparently, in this story, I don't know if it's fact or not, but it's a historical fiction, right? So in this story, she and John Mark were serving Jesus and the disciples during the Last Supper. And she is starting to tell Mary Magdalene, who was not present at the Last Supper, what she overheard. So the last thing she said was, "Here is what the master said. The leaven. These are the things wherewith a man fulfills his obligation on Passover: barley, wheat, spelt, rye, and oats." Pesachim 2, I, and Mishnah 5. Okay, so here comes her letter. In ancient times, the two holy days we call Pesach and Masad, the Passover and the Feast of Unleavened Bread, were separate events, unlike today. The Feast of Unleavened Bread was the more ancient tradition, dating to the time of Abraham and Noah, and was only later made part of the Passover ritual that commemorates the escape of our people from the bondage of Egypt. The first Pesach meal was eaten in haste as our people prepared for flight. On their lintels were painted tau, T-A-U, symbols in lamb's blood as instructed. So when the Lord passed over, Egyptian firstborn males would be struck down instead of our own. Also, as instructed, during the period before the flight, no leaven was permitted. The law pertains to 5 specific grains: barley, wheat, spelt, rye, and oats. The flour of each, if in contact with water for more than a brief time, becomes leaven. God told Moses and Aaron the people must not eat leaven, touch leaven, profit by leaven, neither shall they keep leaven in their house during 7 whole days, from the 14th of the month of Nisan through the night of the 21st, when they left Egypt. Anyone who disobeyed, God promised to cut off from Israel forever. Why was this strange commandment so important? And since the Feast of Unleavened Bread is older than Moses' departure from Egypt, the ritual of searching for leaven is more ancient than the Hebrews' people recognition of the one true God. What does it mean? The number of grains we classify as leaven, 5, was important to the Greeks, who called the number 5 the quintessence, the 5th essence, the highest level of reality to which all others aspire. The 5-pointed star, the pentacle, with a pentagon at its heart, was the symbol of Pythagoras and also of King Solomon. It stands for wisdom, reflected in the apple, a natural form that conceals this symbol in its core. And within that symbol, the true Solomon's seal is the secret of the eternal flame. The process of leavening raises something to a higher level and transforms it. We can see that during the first Passover. God forbade earthly leaven for Jews in favor of transformation to a higher state, making us able to attain that celestial bread which Pythagoras called the eternal leaven, a food we also know as manna, wisdom, sapientia, the word of God. It is associated with a mysterious, invisible element called ether, that the ancients conceived as binding the universe together, the axis. Miriam, I may tell you, when the master finished this story, no one in the upper chamber of my home made a sound. The master gazed slowly around the circle of his disciples, and in that absolute silence, he posed an unexpected question. Does anyone know the true identity of the Shulamite? He added, I speak of King Solomon's darkly beautiful and mysterious love in the Song of Songs. Shulamite means Salemite, for she was a city dweller, and Salem was an early name of Jerusalem. When Solomon asked God for her hand in marriage, perhaps she was more ancient than the city itself. So, who was she, really? After a moment's awkward silence, Simon Peter responded for the others. But master, he objected, for 1,000 years since the time of Solomon, rabbis and priests have debated the matter of that famous woman who was neither queen nor official royal concubine, but only a lowly keeper of vineyards. Yet the efforts of those wise men met with no success. How can we, here in this room, untutored as we are in all the scholarly aspects of Torah, be expected to fare any better? The master's answer, though delivered in the same soft tone, struck Peter so bluntly that he nearly recoiled. Miriam of Magdalene would know the answer. Then the master smiled. It is a knotty, Knotty, problem. But perhaps you'll recall that the night before Solomon began construction on the temple, God appeared in a dream and told him to ask anything he wished. The young king replied that his only desire was the Shulamite's hand in marriage. Forgive me, master, young Johann Zebedee cut in. I'm afraid that isn't so. As everyone knows, Solomon's first wife was Pharaoh's daughter. Furthermore, Solomon only asked one thing of God that night, not marriage, but wisdom. Exactly, agreed the master, still smiling. And though Solomon had many wives, the one that remained first in his heart, as you've correctly said, was the dark, mysterious beauty with whom he celebrates his betrothal in the Song of Songs. To what better bride could a king wish to be yoked throughout his days than wisdom? Oh, in the Song of Songs, she herself tells us her symbol is that five-pointed star that Solomon later accepts as his own seal. Set me as a seal upon thine heart, as a seal upon thine arm, for love is strong as death. The coals thereof are coals of fire. This is the secret flame, the eternal leaven, the master said. For Greeks, the morning star was Artemis or Athena. Virgins noted her wisdom. The evening star was Aphrodite, goddess of love. Since we know these two stars are one, it reveals that in earliest days, men held the key to the highest mystery, the knowledge that wisdom and love are one, a knowledge permitting us to transcend even death. Those in the room remained in stunned silence as the master casually tossed the hair of the young and very confused-looking John Zebedee, who was reclining near him on the sofa. Then he motioned for my son to pour him more wine. Master, forgive me, said Philip of Bethsaida. Your words seem to touch on past, present, and future events, so I'm never quite sure how to interpret what you say. But when you speak of love, surely you mean that our love of the divine, if properly understood and nourished, might enable us to transcend even death. And yet, one must agree that the Song of Solomon, like the historical king himself, would suggest a very different, sensual one, might almost say a carnal picture of love, a portrayal that seems scarcely to suit the image of the coming kingdom which you yourself have foretold. Indeed, Philip, said the master, and that is precisely where the mystery lies. This section is entitled Mona Island, Britannia, AD 44. Okay, let's stop there because that's a different year. We were just in 42, and I don't want to jump to 44 in the middle of a video. So we'll stop. All right, you guys, we'll check out Britannia, AD 44 next time. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.